Hey, sports card collectors and investors, thanks for joining us again for another video. I'm excited today to talk about the Greek freak himself, the guy that everyone thinks could be the next LeBron James, kind of the passing of the torch. It's Giannis that we're going to be talking about today. And what I wanted to focus on is, it's kind of interesting because I know we've been talking about over the last months just how you want to focus in and ideally we're looking for rookie cards when we're looking for investment opportunities. So that's all been kind of flipped on its head. I think a big part of it has to do with the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance, that has come out. Because what you've seen is just a lot of Michael Jordan's cards where, as if you were a diehard Michael Jordan collector investor, then you had a lot of different years of his cards, of course. But now I think we're seeing that for all of the demand that's coming into the hobby, for people that can't afford a Michael Jordan rookie card, like me, for example, I'm looking at other sets and other years and other ways that I can get involved without completely breaking the bank. So this video is more for, average Joe type, investors and collectors that might not have, the money for a, high-end Giannis card, but are looking for value in some of those other sets that they like and are popular, it's just other years of Prizm and then Optic Hollow, for example, and then I've included Select as well in this video. So this video focuses in on a lot of, not all of Giannis's cards, but various Giannis cards through the years that are Prizm, Select, and there's some Optic Hollows mixed in, some Optic cards mixed in. And my idea there is just that a lot of us are taking kind of a different strategy now as to zeroing in on a player and sets, as opposed to, maybe just buying rookie cards of many different players. And I know that for some, they don't necessarily want to go in on just prospects, folks that they think are going to work out down the line, kind of those players that are showing potential that in the next, year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years could, give you some sort of return. They're looking at more of, okay, who are the established iconic players, and how can I get involved with those players? They are already proven, and the idea, the feel is that they will continue to rise over time in value. And so it's an interesting look because it differs from what we've traditionally kind of done as far as for me especially. I have not typically looked at a second year or third year, fourth year card of a player, even if it was a Michael Jordan or even if it was a LeBron James, let alone other players. So this is kind of an interesting debate among collectors and investors now, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Please comment below and subscribe so that you can stay in tune with all the videos that come out. I try to do one every day so that you have consistent content on this subject. Sports card investing is just, it's become kind of a monster of its own. There's so many people that are getting into it, a lot of longtime collectors. Like me, I collected for a long time as a kid, and I got out of it, and then I recently got back in the last couple of years as things have kind of unfolded, and you've seen all the positive changes the industry has made. So I'm going to focus this video on Giannis cards, starting with his base rookie, and we'll just kind of move into what we have today, go over fairly recent eBay sales, as well as the PSA 10 pop reports. This is all PSA 10 cards. So another thing that I would say or advise on, take a look too at PSA 9s. I know a lot of folks just are looking at PSA 10, but as I'm going over these prices, in the back of your mind also kind of consider, okay, well, maybe I can't afford 1,000 or 500 or 200, but what is this card in a PSA 9? Is there value in a PSA 9? I wouldn't completely discount a PSA 9, even though I know that there's people out there that'll say, oh, well, I'm going to pay the same as I would pay for it being raw at a PSA 9. Probably not in the long run. I mean, that's not really, I don't think it's realistic to say that in today's world, just because, look, PSA is closed. They're barely open right now. There's not as much PSA cards coming out. There's a premium on PSA graded cards, just graded cards in general. And then the same goes for BGS. So as you're looking at these prices at PSA 10, what are the BGS 9.5 prices? So these are all things that I would just keep in mind as I'm going through this. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to just start with the base rookie. This is kind of the one that, if you're a Giannis collector, investor, this is the one that everybody wants. It's gone up dramatically. over the last 12 months. This is the 2013-2014 base Prizm number 290. PSA 10 population count for this one currently sits at 2006. And the pricing, these are selling recently at $1,850 to $2,000. So a lot of people will say that there's still value in this card. I think that, in my mind, I think that there is, some certainly, maybe a championship baked into this price. I'm not saying that this can't go up. It certainly can. I mean, if we're speculating, I mean, any card can go up, can go down. I do still think that there is some value at $2,000, but again, does everybody have $2,000 to spend on Yanis? No, I certainly don't. So, but I wanted to start there as just a starting point, as a comparison. So this is that base Prizm and kind of where they're selling for currently. Another option for him, 2013-14 Panini Select number 178 rookie card. With Select becoming such a hot set, this card sits right now, sales are anywhere from $820 to $850, and the PSA 10 pop report for this one is at $722. So almost a third of these is the base Prizm out there in the wild currently. And then, from my understanding, print runs on Select are lower, were lower than Prizm back in 2013. So I think there's some built-in scarcity. So, I mean, I guess you could kind of look at, Prizm is the hot set today. What if Select is more hot than Prizm in 10 years? Then this card is going to seriously eclipse that base Prizm, just because there's less of them out there. So anyway, something to keep in mind. That's an alternative to that base silver Prizm. Really cool looking card. Next up, I've got the second year base Prizm, 2014-2015 base Prizm number 73. Not that many of them out there, and there's not that many of any of these out there. So there's 60 PSA 10s out in the wild currently, and a recent sale was at $277.69. So that's the second year base Prizm card. Not that many of them out there, and I think that the one thing that's going to be really interesting, guys, that we're going to have to find out in the months to come is, are the PSA 10 pop reports low because of the scarcity piece? Are they not out there? Are there not that many that were graded at a 10? And or is it that people just have not sent these into PSA 10 because there hasn't been a market for them up until now? So, just something to think about. These PSA pop reports are low enough to where even if 1,000 of them came through, yeah, of course it would affect the pricing and the scarcity. But it's not like we're talking about it going from 10,000 to 50,000 of these out there. There's still these pop. You're going to see as I go through. There's just a very low numbers of these. But that's going to be something that'll be intriguing to see how that plays out over the coming months. Are people just sitting on these and then they're going to say, oh wow, there's a market in these, I'm going to send these off to PSA, and then how many people have already done that, and how many of those are going to come back from PSA between now and the end of the year, for example. All right, next up, in that same year, the 2014-15 second year Yanis base Select number 75. Only 4 of these out there in PSA 10. And a fairly recent sale was at $141.50. And I've also got this card, same card, but in a silver Prizm. So not the base, but the silver Prizm Select option. I believe it's also number 75. PSA 10s, 8 of those. So again, very few. A recent sale was at $298 for this card. Next, I've got the third year, 2015-2016 Yanis Select Silver Prizm. And this one is a die cut look. It's got a die cut look to it. Number 193. Only 4 of these in PSA 10 that I saw on the pop report, and a fairly recent sale at $299.99. Next, I've got the Prism Silver 2015-16 Giannis Prism Silver number 144. 55 of these at PSA 10, and they're selling anywhere from $412 to $425. And then the base card of this, there's only 11 in PSA 10, $75 to $100 over the last few months. So there's not many out there. I guess keep an eye out for them. One thing that I do that is helpful is eBay. So do eBay saved searches. So what you can do is just save the search to where you're not having to look these up every day or every week, and then eBay will send you an email. They'll send you an email, a daily email if you want them to, going over each of these if they are available. So if they're not available, you won't get an email. But if they are, then at least you have kind of you're getting some sort of a heads up. That would be my suggestion there for those. All right, next up, 2016-2017 Giannis Silver Prism number 13. PSA 10s, I'm showing 30 of them out there. So again, not many of any of these. A fairly recent sale at $325. 2017-2018 Select Silver Prism number 3. This one, now granted, I could only find one sale in March, so pricing, it's all over the place. So it could very well be this pricing is not available if it comes up again. There's one of these that sold for $80 to $90 in March. There's only 10 in a PSA 10 currently on the pop report, so not that many. But one to keep an eye out for. That's the 2017-2018 Select Silver Prism number 3. Next, I've got the 2017-2018 Optic Hollow number 81. In a PSA 10, only 28 of those out there. And a recent sale at $164.99. The 2018 Optic Hollow Yanis number 85. Only 23 PSA 10s out there from what I can see, and only one sale that I could find back in February, so take this with a grain of salt. $79.99 back in February. I would assume that pricing is going to be different if one comes available now, but again, just one to keep an eye out for. 2018 Silver Prism number 296. This one is kind of funny. So sales are all over the place for this one recently, and it shows you kind of how wacky the basketball card market can be. There's 169 PSA 10s out in the wild, and the pricing, so one sold for $74.99, one sold for $120, and another one sold for $202.50. So that gives you an idea of the basketball market in a nutshell. On this card, it's all over the place. So tough to find out, what do you consider good value? You're going to have to figure that out for yourself as to what price is a good price for you and what price gives you the most value if you do find these out there, because those sales are all over the place. Next, I've got the 2018-2019 Select Silver Prism. I believe it's number 133 or number 131. Only 8 of these out there, and there was one sale in early April at $86.01. So again, pricing could be all over the place on that, but that's a fairly recent sale over the last few weeks, but just not 8 PSA 10s. So there you go. And then lastly, I've got the 2019 Prism Silver. This is the new one, number 152. And there are already 40 PSA 10s out in the wild, so, but again, 40, so there's not loads of them. And they're selling from anywhere from $144.99 to $151.50, so about $150 is what these have been selling for. So you just have to decide, and you have to decide where's the value for you and what are you banking on as far as future growth goes, as far as these sets. Do you believe in the set? Do you believe in the player? Do you believe in the is it just rookie cards you want? There's many different factors when we're looking at these. And so, but I wanted to make this video because there's been such a huge push on, which sets are popular and which players are popular and which ones have got longevity. And so people are trying to find value, I believe. And they're probably thinking that, hey, if I sink money into LeBron James, you know, he's already a proven guy. He might win another championship. He might win a couple more championships with the Lakers. Who knows? And that could push his pricing just to, you know, to another level. And if he does win another championship or two, then where does that put him in that GOAT conversation? There's already people that think that LeBron is the GOAT. And so, you know, there's, you know, that's kind of an interesting storyline to follow. And, you know, and then how does that trickle down to other players? We've seen, you know, with this Jordan Bulls documentary, you have a huge emphasis back on the Dream Team and all of those Hall of Famers. You know, I hear a lot of people talking about, you know, Charles Barkley and Karl Malone, you know, and you know, Chris Mullin, you know, guys that just haven't been, you know, talked about in the sports card investing and collecting world, and now they're getting a look at again, and it's like, okay, where are their rookies? What about their second year? I mean, I'm really kind of, it's awesome that second year and third year have become collectible again and investable, you know, and investors are looking at those. Because that's something that opens up a whole new, it just creates a whole new opportunity for us to speculate on, and it's fun, you know, because when you're only dealing with rookie cards, and granted, you might have, you know, 30 different rookie cards for a player, but in reality, if there's only a few sets that are popular, then, you know, yeah, you can buy, you know, if you don't have the money for that Prizm rookie, yeah, you could buy, you know, a lesser set, but there's not as much of investable excitement around that set because it's just not a popular set. So you might just be sitting on that, you know, forever. And so that's where this is kind of cool, because it's like, okay, now we can look at Prizm for all years. Now we can look at Select for all years, Optic Hollow. Let's take a look at those. And it gives us just a lot more variety. And I think that with all the demand that's come into the market, that's what we're seeing is just, you know, people are looking for variety, and they're looking for sets that they really like and that they think that, you know, are going to hold value and build value. And so that's where, you know, and then of course, then you factor in that there's PSA 10 scarcity there, because like we said earlier, we don't know if people just haven't sent those in to get graded because they don't think it's a gradable card. Why would I grade a third year Giannis card, for example? You know, or is it that they just didn't take, you know, and or is it that they didn't take care of those? Maybe they threw them in the trash. I mean, maybe there is a lot of true scarcity with those cards. So that's going to be an incredibly interesting dynamic to see that play out over the next year, couple years. Is, you know, how many more new PSAs, you know, graded cards are we going to see, in BGS graded cards, SGC, are we going to see of those in the coming years? I'm really excited to, you know, to see how it's going to all play out. You know, it's just a great time to be in the hobby. I hope that you guys are enjoying this and having fun with it. And hope to see you again soon. Please tune in. We're going to try to do these every day, as I mentioned. So if you're looking for that consistent content, this is the channel for you. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will talk to you later. Have a good one, guys.